time is running out for COP28 negotiators in Dubai to arrive at a final deal. There's still no agreement on the text of the final draft. Intense negotiations are continuing, centering around language that would target fossil fuels in a COP agreement for the first time. Susan Ormiston is our international climate correspondent, and she's been in Dubai throughout covering COP28 and now the final negotiations. Just hours left, Susan. Where do things stand to this point?
Yeah, those negotiators are head down trying to either weaken or strengthen the language in the final agreement. The COP presidency has promised that it will be coming at midday on Tuesday, which is the middle of the night in Canada. You can hear perhaps and see a little bit of the protest still going on as groups try to influence the negotiators to be bold on the action. And, you know, this COP will be known as the fossil fuel COP because that is the issue that's most in contention at this time. And the negotiators are trying to find consensus. The Secretary General of the United Nations weighed in this morning trying to keep talks on track.
A central aspect, in my opinion, of the success of the COP will be for the COP to reach a consensus on the need to phase out fossil fuels in line with a time framework that is in line with the 1.5-degree limit. That doesn't mean that all countries must phase out fossil fuels at the same time.
That is Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, as he talks to push delegates to come to that final agreement. I know you've been speaking again with the Environment Minister, the Climate Change Minister, Stephen Guilbeault. What is his take on the negotiations at this point, Susan?
Minister Guilbeault has had a busy COP. He's been tapped by the presidency of this climate conference to help find consensus on that issue of fossil fuels. He's sounding optimistic that there will be some language in the agreement, but leaving the door open that it might be qualified. And some people say that any language qualified will mean that it will be a loophole for oil and gas production to continue. Here's what he said on that.
It would be historic. Like, it won't be everything that everyone wants. It'll go too far for some, not far from others. But it will be the first time in almost 30 years of climate change negotiations where we address the elephant in the room, our dependencies on fossil fuels. Will the text be perfect on that? I don't think so. But will it signal the fact that there is a global recognition that we need to reduce our dependencies on fossil fuels? Yes.
You know, there has been a lot of talk about the U.A.E. hosting these talks, a member of OPEC, and a lot is riding on the president, Sultan Al Jaber, who is himself an oil executive. So we asked Minister Guilbeault who and how this is being paused. Who is standing in the way? Here he is again. One more question on fossil fuels. Who's blocking it?
OPEC, really. I mean,
so U.A.E.?
No, no. I mean, because I think that the U.A.E. wants something. I think the presidency recognizes that even if everything else is good, if we can't have an agreement on that, it's going to be viewed by many as a failure.
And there are important other issues, including how people adapt to a changing climate and how developing countries in particular can be financed and funded to transition away from oil and gas toward new renewable energies. So those things still extremely important in these negotiations as we await some kind of final agreement.
Thank you so much, Susan. Susan Ormiston, our international climate correspondent. She is live in Dubai for us this morning.